First, let's discuss what marketing actually is. Marketing. It's a complex concept applied inside the business world. When this concept is utilized correctly, it can determine the success or failure of some organizations. Marketing can be defined in many ways. The most common way are the actions a company undertakes to promote the buying or selling of a product or service. And what marketing does is that it benefits organizations as a whole, but not only does it do that, it also causes external outcomes to the world surrounding. These external outcomes affect consumers, the environment, markets, and many more. While we would only hope for positive outcomes, this is not always the case. Under some circumstances, marketing can lead to a negative outcome. How does marketing contribute to a better world? Well, it contributes in many ways. It allows for businesses to deliver and communicate the value of their product. The value created can fulfill the needs and or wants of some consumers. When neither one is fulfilled, external outcomes can occur. According to Moisen, there are 4 key success factors when it comes to making the world a better place through marketing. These factors include awareness, observation, taking action, adjusting, and reiterating. Let's talk about the first key success factor, awareness. Awareness can be spread through marketing campaigns. When done correctly, marketing campaigns can display a message about a specific problem. This creates purpose and meaning in the eyes of the viewer, which leads to the second key success factor, observations. Observations utilize the creation of a vision to portray the world problems at hand, and these world problems can range from anything including climate change, deforestation, pandemic spread mitigation, and many more. So once awareness is spread and the problem has been observed, action is needed in order to prevent further harm. Action is taken by companies through their products, services, or donations. Consumers can take action by purchasing the company's products or through brand advocacy. Money raised from these sources are then used to help prevent the problem at hand. For example, the recent coronavirus ads we've been getting. Never have we seen so many commercials telling us to stay 6 feet away from people or to wash our hands. And all these commercials are doing is they're bringing awareness that this pandemic may be more serious than we think. And it's telling us to take extra precautions in order to prevent any more harm or the spread of this virus. And just like anything, nothing comes out perfect after the first try, which leads us to the last step, adjusting. Adjustings allow for the organization to correct whatever they missed or did wrong in the first go. When marketing a cause, you want to ensure your message is received in the most efficient way possible. This gives a deeper meaning to your campaign and will persuade more people into helping the cause at hand. And of course, when you spread awareness, you want to do it as much as possible by reiterating the awareness. Repetition allows you to drive the awareness about a problem at hand. With more awareness, the more chances you
So the first topic I'd like to cover is known as corporate social responsibility. So the definition's up there, a self-regulating business model that helps a company be socially accountable to itself, its stakeholders, and the public. So why should companies participate? Well, there's a high demand that companies engage in some sort of social issues. So for example, 90% of consumers want to see companies contribute to social issues. 80% of Americans are likely to switch brands given the similar price and quantity for a company that contributes to social issues. And 47% of consumers report frequently or occasionally purchasing products from firms based on causes they support. And one other reason why companies should participate is that it helps firms differentiate themselves from competitors in this ultra competitive world. So under the umbrella of CSR is a topic known as cause-related marketing, or CRM. So definition, it's a mutually beneficial collaboration between a corporation and a nonprofit designed to promote the corporation's sales and then the NPO's cause. So this is typically seen as a win-win with the corporation, getting better brand perception, new customers, increase employee satisfaction, while the nonprofit increases exposure, gets new supporters, legitimize the brand, and also um, can accompany with donations from the corporation as well. So here's some well-known examples of CRM. So the first we have is Whirlpool, and then Habitat for Humanity. So what Whirlpool does here is they donate a range and a refrigerator for each home built by Habitat for Humanity. A second one is Yoplait and Save Lids to Save Lives. So I've personally seen this one. I'm sure most of you have too. So what Yoplait does, they donate 10 cents per yogurt lid to the Susan G. Komen Foundation for breast cancer research. And then the final one here, which pretty sure everyone has heard of and seen, is the Nike and the Lance Armstrong Foundation. So they, those $1 yellow rubber bands ended up raising awareness for both the company and the foundation. So while CRM is normally seen as a win-win for both the corporation and the nonprofit, there are a number of adverse effects which we'll describe more in the subsequent slides. But just real quick, the three that I want to cover here are firms attempt to disguise or limit their total contribution. There's a number of negative externalities, with the most important being an increase in overall consumption, which causes negative environmental safety effects and also pollution. Like to the right there, you can see the big plastic containers versus the smaller plastic containers. And then finally, we'll go into the psychology of consumer participation that inflicts indulgence in other areas. So on the first adverse effect, we have corporations attempt to disguise or limit their total contribution, or even avoid the donation altogether. So unfortunately, there's a study done where 70% of sites with CRM as a campaign, 70% were ambiguous, 26% were estimatable, and 4% you can actually calculate how much the firm was actually donating. The second point is the total donation of the firm doesn't match the quantity perceived by consumers. So, for example, Avon did a lip balm where they donated one product for one for each that a consumer bought. However, another company such as like Dial, they only donate a specific amount or percentage of sales, and the additional part of that is they had a cap, so they can only they would only donate up to like 200,000 or whatever amount that the company says, but they don't put that up front. And then the third part is for donation execution. So is the donation automatic? Does the company automatically donate the sales, or is there additional step required by the consumer, such as having to turn in a lid or box tops? This usually lessens the amount of donations, because not all consumers are willing to go over and do that online, or they might forget. So that's how the company can get rid of or avoid the donation altogether. So the second adverse effect here is our negative externality, is the increase in overall consumption. So it's kind of interesting that a lot of socially responsible consumers will tend to avoid all consumption, making the increase in the firm wanting you to buy more kind of antithetical. The second part is the overall consumption increases pollution, harms the overall environment, public safety. So this is ironic, because it's actually counter to many of the causes that are out there. So the prime example here is, like I mentioned earlier, is Yoplait's Save Lids to Save Lives campaign. So they donate 10 cents per lid. however, what this does, this is motivating consumers to purchase the smaller containers, which ends up creating more harm and pollution in the environment because it uses up more plastic. Um, the second example is Avon's Breast Cancer Crusade lip balm. So you look to the right there. So there's actually a study done where Avon's lip balm actually contained carcinogens. So I think the quote there in the bottom sums it up pretty well, where consumers may not realize that a product supporting a cancer-fighting cause may in fact be a product that creates the very toxins and environmental hazards that cause cancer in the first place. So the final adverse effect from CRM that I'd like to cover is consumer participation actually increases indulgence in other areas. So the way companies do this is they kind of use this psychological manipulation where they'll use praise messages like, good job for donating, or you're supporting this cause, which is good. However, what this is shown to do is increase self-indulgence and other self-interested activities. So there were studies done where people, after donating or participating in a CRM, where they purchased designer jeans rather than the cheap ones, and they also did a study where they're less likely to share money after they participate in CRM. There's another study, for example, where when they purchased greener products, they had subsequent lower intentions of being environmental friendly. So it actually, the second, third order effects of participating in CRM are actually negative a lot of the times. And then the second point here is it kind of leads to contradictory behaviors. So, to the right there, we, buy fast food, but then top it off with a Diet Coke. We go to the gym, but then we take, the elevator to the second floor. And then we spend money buying tankless water heaters because they're better for the environment, but then we end up taking longer showers. So it X's out all that environmental safety that we're trying to accomplish. So here are a couple of potential solutions for these CRM negative effects. So one, firms need to exercise more transparency. So they need to have better donation labeling, making it more clear on how much they're donating and when. So for example, the Starbucks fight against AIDS on the right, they need to remove an overall cap for their donation. Then that Starbucks campaign doesn't have one. And then donations need to be automatic. So unlike having to donate actual lids, kind of like the Yoplait campaign, they need to take out that extra step where consumers have to do something because it's less likely to happen. On the other hand, consumers, they need to research products better, be more self-aware. So, avoid products that are contrary to the cause. For example, the Avon breast cancer
campaign, and also, they need to be self-aware and recognize that they can conduct self-indulgent or self-interested behaviors after participating in CRM.
Marketing can also have a negative impact on the stakeholders as well. Consumers like to support businesses that are morally and politically aligned with them. So when they have the same viewpoints as the company, they tend to stick with that brand. But a lot of times companies will take a stance that consumers are not interested in and really actually oppose that. So they tend to divide consumers, and consumers will then boycott or refuse to use that brand. A good example of a company suffering from some of their marketing choices was when Nike decided to side with Colin Kaepernick in his stance on kneeling for the national anthem, and they used him in one of their commercials. And back when this was all happening, American consumers were very polarized on whether they agreed with Colin or not. Their shares actually fell 3.2% in September of 2018, and they had a lot of social media backlash, which a lot of followers of Nike ended up boycotting buying their products. When you think of technologies for marketing for a better world, you might think of social media and actual device technologies and electronic technologies, but there are actually some technologies that companies can start using that are not exactly electronic. These would be like customer experience and employee engagement within their brand, personalization, and strategic marketing transformation. The first technology is customer experience. Customer experience is how the customer feels when they're shopping for their goods or services. And PricewaterhouseCoopers did a study of 4,000 people. They surveyed them on customer service, and 73% of consumers thought customer experience was important. Employee engagement, which is the efficient and friendly service a customer feels when getting their goods and services, it drives the customer experience. In that same study, 46% of consumers said that they would abandon a brand if employees were not knowledgeable of their products and if they had a bad attitude. Any resistance a customer faces within their customer experience affects the brand and affects the retention of those consumers. In today's world, customer experience shouldn't be as focused on convincing the customer to buy their goods and services, but rather to make them leaving and wanting more from the company once they've already purchased one good or service. Some examples are convenience, easy payment options, just like a PayPal or a quick swipe. Current technology and their easy mobile experiences help as well. Customer experience can contribute to a better world because people want to feel good about what they're putting their time and money into, and they want to feel good in general when they leave that service. The next technology companies should focus on is personalization. They can use increased data collection and technology, which will increase their personalization levels. They want to forge a real connection between the consumer and the brand. Because currently consumers are flooded with marketing within their social media and their inboxes, and they tune out or ignore this marketing when it's overwhelming to them. An Epsilon study found that 80% of consumers would be more likely to do business with a brand that can offer a personalized experience. So targeting customers will ensure that they cling on to your marketing and want to buy from you. And the last technology companies should focus on is strategic marketing transformation. So kind of renovating their entire marketing plan. They need to change their fundamental business practices and procedures and think beyond what they are doing and focus on why they are doing it to kind of bond with the consumer, kind of like the personalization. Benefits of this improves customer service and experience. They get heightened brand awareness and a better reputation, which eventually leads to increased revenue and profits.